Hi there, it's Keira Sorrells, the founder and president of the Preemie Parent Alliance. I'm here today with one of our longtime members, Yamile Jackson, who is a graduate NICU mom and CEO of Nurtured by Design. Yamile is a native of Colombia and is the inventor of the Zachy Hug and the Zachy Zac. Her company, Nurtured by Design, is the global leader in ergonomics, human factors, and safety engineering for developmental care and kangaroo care for babies to improve the quality of life of all newborns and families through science, nurturing, and engineering principles and best practices. We're here today for a conversation about a topic that is important to both of us, and that is International Kangaroo Care Awareness Day, and we're so happy to have you with us, Yamile. For those who don't know, can you please give us a brief description of what kangaroo care actually is?
Yes, thank you for having me. Kangaroo care or kangaroo mother care or skin-to-skin contact is actually some terms that we use to define a method of holding a baby skin-to-skin to the chest. So the chest of the parent with the chest of the baby. The most beneficial for the baby is actually the mom holds because that's what, they're going from the womb to the chest. But fathers is extremely beneficial for the babies, grandparents, anybody, any chest is better than an incubator. The method was actually invented in Colombia, and I was a little girl when I was there. I live in Houston now, but it was in the news, and it was a method that was originally made or invented or developed for premature babies. But after so much time of research, it has been more than demonstrated the benefits for not only preemies, but also healthy full-term babies and the parents.
That's great. And can you tell me why is kangaroo care, why does it have such a personal meaning for you that you decided to start this International Day of Awareness about kangaroo care?
Yes, so kangaroo care, I believe that not only was very critical on the care of Zachary when he was in the NICU, but I believe that he is a normal 17-year-old in big part because of how much we held him and how much we were involved in the NICU with him. And kangaroo care basically saved his life. After Zachary was born, he was born weighing less than 2 pounds 17 years ago. And when we had he was 3 weeks old, and we had a flood in Houston that from a tropical storm, Allison, that shut down the power to his hospital. So all the equipment turned off, and we kept him alive by hand for 9 hours until he was evacuated. So as soon as my husband and I got to the hospital, I held him skin to skin, and my husband got a crash course on how to bag him. So I made a promise to him that his pain and struggle to survive were not going to be in vain. And my prayer was that I wanted to help babies, but I wanted to do it on his behalf and not in his memory. So I was granted that wish, and that's why I started Nurtured by Design. I have a doctorate in ergonomics and human factors engineering. So everything about developmental care has to do with ergonomics. So the way you position the babies and all that. And one of the roadblocks there were a couple of roadblocks that we identified for kangaroo care. And one was safety. If the mom falls asleep, if the baby moves, they can dislodge. During the transfer is a little bit harder for mom. So I developed the Zachy Zac. And the other piece of the puzzle was that even though we have a lot of evidence, more than 5,000 papers have been written about benefits of of kangaroo care. We were not practicing it as much as I did it 17 years ago. And one of the reasons that came up over and over again was that, you know, the nurses would say, yeah, we do it if the mom asks for it. And I don't know how many moms had the benefit of knowing about these before they got to the NICU.
Exactly.
And so that's why I started Kangaroo Care Awareness Day, was to raise awareness. That's exactly what it is just to raise awareness, give an opportunity for nurses and therapists and doctors and all the staff to learn a little bit more about it, and to also share it with the moms that are and the families that are in the NICU or in the PICU or any unit that has babies up to three months after due date.
And when was the very first one? What year did you start it?
It was actually to celebrate Zachary's 10th birthday, so it was 2011.
Oh, wow.
So everything we do is related something with Zach. So our products are called Zachy, it was actually to celebrate Zachary's 10th birthday is the first one that we did.
Oh, wow.
Now he's 17.
Oh my goodness, 17. Did you ever think you'd get there from the very beginning?
It
seemed so far off, didn't it?
Yeah. Everybody said, you know, he's going to grow so fast. And I always thought, like, you know, how fast can it be? And I blinked and he's 17. Yeah.
Wow. And it really is an international day of awareness. I mean, it's not just here in the United States. And you've had some chances to visit NICUs in other countries, haven't you?
Oh, yes. I go all over. Yes.
And what do you see parents in other countries that are doing kangaroo care, or what is what have you seen around the world?
Yeah. So different, you know, usually in every NICU is different, and you can be one block away, but it's all depending on the culture of that NICU and how much they embrace evidence-based practice, and how much they embrace family-centered care, and how much they realize how important the parents are for the development of the child. So you can have one NICU in one place where, like, where Zachary was born, that they encouraged me to ask questions. They encouraged me to hold Zachary, to go visit, to be part of the team that took care of him, and be a mom in the NICU. And there are other NICUs that basically say, you know, just not necessarily in words, but, you know, they have a culture where moms or dads are going to be on their way. So we just prefer if they don't come. So we have NICUs like countrywide, like Sweden. They have the wonderful, healthcare where babies are kangaroo care for 24 hours. And parents stay in the NICU with these babies. And, I have been obviously back to Colombia and different countries like India. They have Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are really making a big investment and effort to promote kangaroo care all over the world, basically. So yes, so it really depends on the culture. A nurse can actually make or break the relationship that you have with your son or daughter, because if the nurse doesn't allow you to hold, then you start having separation, and then this baby is going to just give up and say, hey, nobody's here for me. You know, and that's what we don't want. We don't want these babies to give up.
Yeah. And, I've heard you say something before that, just speaks so purely to the heart of a parent, and that it's not just the feeling. There is actual data that shows that babies that feel loved thrive.
Yes.
And that's
not
important.
just babies, but that's any human. And that's, any human. If you don't have a reason to survive, you don't fight. And what is more challenging with babies is that babies don't know the world that they're coming into. So they don't know. So if they come to a world where there is nobody cheering for them to say, hey, this is not the world that I wanted for you. There is something after this. This is something that is temporary, but I want you to fight, and I want you to be here with me, and I'll help you as much as I can. And that is just by holding skin to skin. That's just holding skin to skin. It gives all the chances that this baby needs, either, for the best life possible that these babies are going to go. So even if they are in end of life and palliative care, I think it is the most, it's just the most humane way to hold, to care for a child is to be loved, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And tell me, because again, going back to this as an International Day of Awareness, there are things going on in India and Saudi Arabia, and can you tell us a little bit about what happens in other countries?
Oh,
and then also what do people do here in the United States too? Because we have a lot of, I've been seeing a lot of posts for kangaroo-a-thons, and yes, lots of excitement around it.
Yes. So, like I said, it's a day for awareness, and in India, they are having a Kangaroo Care Congress for, for the country, and they give awards to nurses and to clinicians that have been really in the forefront of kangaroo care. And in Saudi Arabia as well, they have a team of nurses that are putting together a couple of days of kangaroo care for, so they can teach everyone, they can share stories, they can elevate the practice of kangaroo care. We have hospitals in Madagascar, we have London, everywhere, in the UK, there are so many NICUs, in Bulgaria, in Romania, we have Latin America, we have our website actually that we try to get information of what everybody's doing and give ideas of what people can do. But, it can be as simple as just, maybe some people just write cards. They give little chocolates to the moms that are kangarooing. They give education. They take the time to read about it. They share evidence. And there is a contest that is, they have over 60 hospitals, and is put together by a hospital in Canada, Sunnybrook, and they call the Kangaroo-thon. And they have it was only Canada, then the US, then now they have hospitals in Australia and UK and everywhere. And they do from May 1st to May 15th, and the hospital that has more kangaroo care hours per baby per day is the winner. So they've done it for several years now. There are hospitals that within the hospital, they have little awards and contests and
Mm-hmm.
whatever needs to be done to raise the awareness of these practice that
Mm-hmm.
that we just need to do it. It's just the
Right.
humane way to do it is the best thing for the baby, the best thing for the parents, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just giving them a chance.
Absolutely. And, we do want to recognize, because you did talk about the disparities from hospital to hospital, even in the United States, even, just
Oh yes.
blocks from one another, how different their policies can on kangaroo care. So if let's imagine that we have a mom in a hospital right this minute, and she's being told that she's not able to do kangaroo care because, for whatever reason, the hospital has not stable enough, or maybe,
Mhm.
they have a weight threshold as part of their outdated policy. What can you say to this mom who wants to be able to do this, but is coming up against roadblocks?
Yeah. So
What would you say
in
to
the
encourage
U.S.,
her?
unfortunately, in the U.S., we can't do kangaroo care 24 hours. So there is
Mhm.
going to be a point where you have to put the baby back, or that the
Mhm.
baby is not going to be stable enough, or you can't just hold this baby for 24
Mhm.
hours. So,
Mhm.
and that was my agony. That was exactly why I did my first product called the Saki Hug, because I wanted to, like, how does he know that I love him? Right? If I'm not holding
Right.
him, does he think
Mhm.
that I abandoned him? And
Mhm.
usually when they're not on the chest, then they're going to be feeling lonely, and they it's when all the interventions, or most of the interventions happen, so he's going to be in pain.
Mhm.
And when he's the sickest, I didn't hold him, right? I didn't
Mhm.
even touch him, because sometimes they're like, oh, you can't touch him because it's
Mhm.
too much stimulation. So
Mhm.
um my nurses taught me how to use my hands to comfort him, even if I couldn't
Mm.
hold him on skin to skin. So
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
hold, I would be always to just, even if you were just touching his little toe, I just wanted
Mhm.
that connection. The
Right.
power
That
of the
contact.
touch is, is immense. And
Mhm.
if a nurse can touch a baby, then a mom can touch a baby.
Mm.
If you
Very,
can
very
move
powerful.
If you can move a baby to, let's say, to weigh them, then you can move this
Mhm.
baby to put them on skin to skin.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what we do
Very
in
good
Nurture by
point.
Design is, how do we make it better? Can we make any
Right.
tools that will allow the nurses not to be nervous that this baby is
Right.
not in their control? So
Right. Right.
keeping them safe, keeping them um, you know, with the sac, where the baby is not
Mhm.
going to be moving up and down because they're going to
Right.
dislodge. We don't use a fabric that can slide down, so they don't go under the shirt and
Mhm.
create different safety problems.
Right.
So yes, so it took us
That's
3.5
and
years to develop the sac.
mhm. Well, and that's something too that you mentioned about the touch, and that's something that I always try to reiterate to families, because it was a nurse that told me, at this, my girls were in the NICU 11 years ago, and back then it was, they had touch times or care times at 12, 3,
Hmm.
6, and 9, and that was when we changed the diaper and we did the cares or whatever, or we would get them out to hold. And it was, 2:00 and the nurse said,
Hmm.
I was just, standing there looking at my daughter through the incubator, and she said, why aren't you touching her? And put your hands
Hmm.
on her. And I looked at her, I said, but it's 2:00. I'm not allowed to
Hmm.
touch her till 3:00. And she said, I have been doing this job for 20 years. And she said, and, it is the parents that are going to get these home, and the parents, your touch does not feel
Right,
like my touch.
right,
Your touch
right,
is unique as a parent. And she said, you get your hands in there, you touch your baby. And
right.
I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
ever.
Well, one of the first questions that I asked a nurse was, what is the common denominator of these babies when they grow? And
Mhm.
I didn't mean, I didn't want them to tell me like legally what they have to tell me, right? They have to
Mhm.
tell me
Mhm.
all the things that can happen, you know.
Right.
I just wanted like, you know, how do they grow? What are the
Mhm.
things that happen? And the nurse, with no hesitation, she said, they are averse to touch. They don't like to be touched.
Mhm.
And then I immediately said, well, is it that they are so little and they don't develop that? Or is it that they learn by association that every time we touch them, it hurts? And she says, I don't
Mhm.
know. We don't know. We don't have a way to prove it. We don't have a way to do
Mhm.
evidence. We don't know. And I'm like, you know, at this point, I don't need evidence. I just need one,
Mhm.
right? An evidence
Right.
of one.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
and I'm Colombian and I am, you know, we touch for everything,
Mhm.
like human
Mhm.
contact has been extremely important for my culture and my life. And I couldn't imagine not only giving him a life without enjoying human touch, but having my life without enjoying his touch.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
because, I mean, I was like, that's too isolating. That's
Right.
solitude, right? If you can't.
Right.
So, I started touching him and I wanted to show him that yes, there are 150 people that touch him that hurts, but there is
Mhm.
one touch that is not going to hurt. And there is
Mhm.
one touch that will allow him to be comfortable. And if you think
Mhm.
about it, adults are even now, you know, when you have something happen, you know, even if it's just the voice of your mom, you know, it
Mhm.
comforts you. And I
Right.
wanted that for Zach. I wanted
Right.
him to know that I was there for him. I didn't want him to
Mhm.
give up and say, okay, I'm by myself. I'm going to self-regulate alone. I didn't want that for
Mhm.
him.
Right.
So,
Right.
being very involved, and I tell you, if you have a baby in kangaroo care, moms just want that baby holding. They're not going to bother
Mhm.
anybody. They just want to be the mom of this child, and there's no better
Mhm.
way. You know,
Right.
when they're in the incubator, they're totally still. When they are on the chest of
Mhm.
someone, they have the moms. You know, they breathe, so they have some vestibular
Mhm.
stimulation. They have
Mhm.
the scent of the mom. They have the
Mhm.
breathing of the mom. They have the voice of the mom. They have, or the
Mhm.
dad or whoever, you know. It's
Mhm.
better than
Mhm.
swaddling and
Right.
holding.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's
Not
wonderful.
that
Well,
I'm
I just
passionate about it.
no, 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 not at all.
No. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
thank
we
you
can,
so much.
we
Yeah.
can make such a difference for the lives
Yes.
of these babies. And one last thing, there are two trains of
Yeah.
thought. One
Yes.
is you cannot hold a baby because the baby is unstable. And the
Mhm.
second, which is the one that we adhere to, is this baby is not stable because they're not in kangaroo care.
Mm. Mm.
So,
I like
you know,
that.
more hospitals are looking for ways to be progressive about it. Whole babies that are
Mhm.
intubated, whole babies that are
Mhm.
in oscillators,
Right.
you know, and as long as you have them secure, and you know,
Right.
that's why we developed this hack,
Right. There is to do it
then
safely.
yes, because safety is number
Mhm.
one. If the baby's not safe, nobody wins.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I do want to make sure everybody's aware of what you have going on, because we do have a website that people can go to, www.kangaroo.care. What's
mhm.
going on? I'm very busy day. It's coming up on the 15th. But what can people expect from Nurtured by Design and from the International Awareness Day?
So we are challenging everybody to sign up to our mailing list, and we're going to
Mhm.
be sending information. We're going to send information about this class and Dr. Phillips' class. We're going to be encouraging all the moms and dads that ever kangarooed a baby to post a photo
Mhm.
in social media with their babies and to say what was important about it. So
Mhm.
we give a clear message that this is really what the way that, it makes a difference not only on the
Right.
babies but on the way we parent our children. So
Mhm.
yeah, lots of things happening. We have a giveaway for 50 sacks to 50 different hospitals that
Mhm.
that registered with us. We have we have the logo that we give for free to anybody that wants to use it, and we have seen it
Mhm.
in cakes and in
Mhm.
posters and
So neat.
everywhere. Yeah. So
That's great.
yeah. So we're just a little in the full mountain of things that are happening all
Right.
over.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Yamile, for being with us. And you mentioned it just a minute ago. We do have on May 15th, as part of the Preemie Parent Alliance and National Perinatal Association's collaborative webinar series, we are going to be providing a free webinar to all of our listeners with neonatologist from Loma Linda Children's Hospital, Dr. Raylene Phillips, entitled Skin to Skin Contact After Birth. So many reasons why it matters. So we want everybody to be on the lookout, both on PPA and NPA social media channels and our website, to get that instant free access to that webinar. Well, again, thank you so much, Yamile, for all you do for families and babies across the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi there, it's Keira Sorrells, the founder and president of the Preemie Parent Alliance. I'm here today with one of our longtime members, Yamile Jackson, who is a graduate NICU mom and CEO of Nurtured by Design. Yamile is a native of Colombia and is the inventor of the Zaki Hug and the Zaki Zac. Her company, Nurtured by Design, is the global leader in ergonomics, human factors, and safety engineering for developmental care and kangaroo care for babies to improve the quality